is smooth. Come on, girl. Come on, girl.
Ce n'est qu'un début, continuons le combat et les lois de l'équipe.
What's happening, people? Whoa. I just looked at the audio coming out of that. That looked like it was loud. Good morning. Well, good afternoon. Monday. Greatest day of the week. Am I right? Or am I right? Last night, approximately 0200 hours. We dumped in the market a little bit harder, and I am extremely grateful now. As always, these small situations that we end up getting put into short term do kind of suck. I mean, like it's probably, if there is like a stressful time for trading, it's probably these areas right here, because like I said, my plan is I'm going to be taking longs as long as we remain above 2,935 on Ethereum, and on BTC, very, very similar setup. If we remain above 39,159, just the way that I see things. Like I said, I don't really plan on holding those longs for too long. I do plan on taking profit around 43,000. So I just have it lined up here, just seeing what I would walk away with, just as a rough idea. Right now, I am awaiting getting back into the Ethereum trade here. I'm going to set up the conditional right now. Change it to order by quantity. Additional trigger price. I'm going to do 29.45. Six. And this is the part where I was talking about before, like, to me, this is the smartest decision I can make. Because if there is an area for price action to turn around short term, it's going to be here. This is where price action can prove that it is bullish and it can go retest higher highs. All right. I'm not talking about macro wise. I'm just talking about short term. Like I said, even if we do remain bullish here for a short while, I'm not expecting it to go put in like 52K or anything like that anymore. Just my personal thoughts. But people will be afraid to take these longs. You know, I'm not trying to say it like that and like to, egg you on to try to get you to take longs. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm saying is if your strategy works like mine, all right, you might convince yourself not to play your own strategy because you're like, well, I'm super bearish, so if I take the longs, I get stopped out, I'm wasting money, I'd rather save the money, and then that way it continues going down, and then, I don't lose anything extra, and I make the most amount of profit. That's where people get into trouble, because what if it does turn around? And then all of a sudden you get antsy, and you take profit on your shorts, and then it goes back down, stuff like that. It puts you in a sticky situation. That's why I try to promote, if your strategy works in this way, don't mess yourself up. All right, like I said, if you have a strategy that works statistically, the only thing that can mess it up beyond that point is you. That's all. So, what's going on, peeps? Garrett, he said first. I was tempted to type and I'll be like, no, I'm first. I'm first to the live stream. But thank you, man. Thanks for being first. Bishnu, second. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I'm just gonna sit here and wait. You can't make me leave. Is this a protest? Is this a sit down? Digital Apollyon. What's shaking? I don't know, man. Do you live in California? 'Cause it's probably the ground. Check yourself. Carlos. Hey, what's up, man? Johnny Crypto. What's going on, man? Let me know. Hit me up on Snapchat. Let me know when you're coming down this way. And we'll do something. Might try to book a restaurant. They might like. It's my favorite restaurant, so any excuse I get to go to it, I'll go to it. I gotta put on a jacket or something. Maybe I'll just let my computers do the work and heat up the room. Kite touching on the power of the 3, 6, and 9 divine. I don't know about that. Bird is a plane. No, it's a kite. I got my glasses on today. I had to give my eyes a rest, as always. Can't wear contacts for too long. Sushi long? No, I'm not feeling it. Like I said, with altcoins like sushi, with me being macro bearish on Bitcoin, I don't really feel like taking the chance on sushi. Just me personally. Like I said, when we are super bearish, if you can land a short on an altcoin, that makes a lot more sense than if we are temporarily bullish in a bearish market trying to long an altcoin. All right. I was trying to long sushi a couple months back because, like I said, I still thought there was a decent chance for us to remain somewhat bullish, but we're beyond that point, me personally. Like I said, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if we're going down to just 29K. I don't know if we're just going down to, 33K. Those are the two numbers that we can respectfully test. I do think that there'll be a momentary shakeout, possibly like 25K and then back above 29. Obviously, the fib targets are calling for like 16,000 to 13K, but do I personally think that that's the reality of what's going to happen? No, but do I think it's a possibility? Sure. Like I said, I mean, it's very arrogant to think that Bitcoin has to play how your mind thinks it has to play. And like I said, I do think the market's in like a weird situation where the market's confident on crypto now. So what happens is when you have a confident market, what tends to happen is people are trading more, and trading necessarily isn't the best for upwards growth. All right. What you want for growth is you want people to get it into their wallets and they just leave it in their wallets. They're basically extracting the supply. Kind of what the Satoshi wallet does. It's basically like deleting Bitcoin. Obviously, it's always accessible at some point, but long term or short term, it does help the market substantially. And obviously, once we go into a bull market and they start selling off some of their coins, that's what kind of starts bringing the bull market to halts. Question: if I'm a part-time trader, can I use your ABC strategies well? Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I'm not a hyper scalper. I'm not a swinger. All right. You heard it here first. Kite's not a swinger. Don't try me. All right. You can fit my strategy however you want. If you got a 9-to-5 job, increase your stop losses, play bigger setups. That's all. If you don't have a 9-to-5 job and you can sit in front of your computer all day long and waste your health away like I have the past couple of years, yeah, go ahead, play on the 5-minute time frame. It's going to be significantly harder. I'm pretty much guaranteeing that your win ratio is going to be lower, but if you can handle that kind of pressure, you can. Now, I'm north of that, like a lot north of, in Canada. It's just a herd of penguins, or just little flippers are hitting the ground, creating an earthquake. I feel like this is extremely racist. I just imagine like Canada's nothing but penguins. I'm sure there's parts of Canada, I think they're really, really, really snowy parts that might have penguins. Penguins. I'm like Benedict Cumberbatch penguins. Penguins. BTC Pamp. The Pamp. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't get attached to one way or the other. Weren't we just talking about that like 2 seconds ago? This is why, even though I'm macro bearish, if that's where we're going to get bullish short term, that's where it's going to happen. And I'm curious. We talked about how we could see that bullish divergence forming, like ever since we were back here. So, did we end up? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. If you just kind of look and think a little bit, you can see this stuff coming from a mile away. Now, like I said, I don't subscribe to, temper like these smaller time frame bullish divergences as much anymore. I do point them out because I know some people kind of like, they feel more confident if they see stuff like that. But, I do like to look at like the longer time frame. So like on this one right here, if we look at like the 1 hour, 2 hour, we can see upward trajectory. Now, like, I really don't have like a good reasoning behind this. Now, we have been seeing stuff like this happen on Monero. I don't know if this is related to what's going on in Russia, because I'm sure there's a lot of rich people that are trying to move money around right now. And if there is a currency to do so, it's a lot easier to do it in Monero. So like I said, you can get un-KYC'd Bitcoin that's easy to move around, and that doesn't have to go through 1,000 different tumblers, but you're going to be paying a hefty premium. XMR, like you can buy it from Kraken if you wanted to, send it off to, another wallet, and boom, at that point it's private. They know that you bought Monero, but they can't tell where it went or if it went anywhere. Are you always positive? If not, how do you stay positive in your life? No matter what happens, you realize the end goal, how it all ends up. And it all ends up pretty good. It doesn't matter what happens short term. That's why I talk about stuff that people don't like to talk about, like the end of humanity. I'm like, if it happens, it happens. We have like this overwhelming urge. It's like, humanity has to go on. No, it doesn't. We weren't here at one point, and we won't be here at another point. It doesn't have to go on. I do wish that we spend our time wisely and we do things correctly, but we don't have to live. You're grateful for every moment that you do have. Nine to 5, take a lot of bathroom breaks, set up conditionals when needed. I guess you know what it is. Now, I worked at like a bar. So if it was a weekday and during the day, like 10 a.m. to 4 a.m., ain't nobody coming in, so I'll just sit on my phone and just on like the TradingView app, which man, I hate looking at the TradingView app on my phone. I really do. That's why ABC's kind of changed the game for me, and I wish I would have found out about them earlier, because I don't really need TradingView when I'm using the ABC strategy. Like on Bybit, I can kind of just zoom in a little bit, and then it will tell me what the low is of this move right here, and I go, okay, I'll just set my conditional a little bit above that price point. When if you're still in that mindset of like having like 5 different indicators, and you're trying to use a phone and zoom in, like, oh my god, I can see where you might be pissed off, because that was me at one point, and that's not a fun thing to do. How's the mining going? Pretty good. Right now we're at about like $110. Actually, no. Okay, so let me check real quick. We got about like $90 on Binance that I've mined over the past couple of weeks. And then got about $20 worth of flux from the mining I did before I switched to primarily nice hash. Let me go off. Two-factor authentication. Where's my wallet? Yep, exactly $90.39. So right now, primarily I'm holding Bitcoin, XMR, Flux, and Cadena. Today's P&L, 2.2%. How do you like that? April 18th. April 18th. April 18th is Monero Run, withdrawal from exchanges day. Yeah, they're all withdrawing from exchanges so they can go buy their asset for the 19th. That's what's going on right now. Friendly reminder, guys. Tomorrow's bicycle day. You might not have, Aladdin in your repertoire, but if you got mushrooms, go for it. Turn it into a tropical smoothie and chug that down. Korean guy is back and he's trying to make it all back. Oh man. I hope yeah, I'm just gonna stay out of that. Started college last year and I thought I would try and trade a little. Yeah, the bigger swings where it's at, man, are a lot less stressful. Like I said, if you treat the price action like we've traded the past couple of months, I think there's a lot of potential in that. Like I said, I mean it's stress free, so therefore your mind is clear and concise. If you're always like in this sympathetic state and always high cortisol levels, when it comes down to making that decision to do something that's beneficial for your portfolio, your mind's clouded. You don't know what to think. So therefore, sometimes you make the wrong decision. And more often than not, you do. But the less stress you have, it's just simple. It might not be the most profitable in terms of if everything worked out 100% of the time the way that you thought it would, but it's more secure. So therefore, it is more profitable. Like how we took hedge trades and yeah, we got stopped out a couple times. You can see right there. I've lost about, between Bitcoin and Ethereum, trying to get these hedge longs. I've lost about $58 overnight. But it's a small price to pay because what if we do pump? Now I'm already up $52 on Bitcoin, and if Ethereum goes, relatively around the same percentage, I'll make $200 on Ethereum. Now Ethereum, let's go ahead and check that out real quick. Now, unfortunately, Ethereum, the resistance isn't like BTC. The resistance is here at 3,062. But I am just going to kind of look past that because it might just move kind of like how BTC does. I'll probably be aiming somewhere for like the 0.618 to 0.5 region. So since I am bearish, I don't want to try to get the maximum resistance. So I'll probably be looking for somewhere around like 3,200. Which, let's see, 3,200 comes out to 86% profit, so $173. That wouldn't be too shabby. And I would get stopped out of Ethereum. Like this, if this Bitcoin long goes to where I think it's going to go and then it turns back around, I'm not going to get stopped out of BTC short, but I will get stopped out of Ethereum's. Like I said, that would open up the possibility of me being able to get a short going back down below one of these two resistances, which I should have been holding from that level anyways. I'm really upset how I played on Ethereum. Hey Kite, check out the funding rate on Luna. Yeah, it's negative, but it's really not too shabby. like I said, the points where you really want to think about funding rate in terms of like, can I use this to my advantage, is like -1, -2, -3. That's when there is enough short, over leveraged short pressure, where you can see those massive upswings. Now, having a negative funding rate in a pump definitely does help the pump, but not as extreme as some would like. I said on Zill, when we saw -3, all right, not -0.3, -3%. All right, that's when some magical stuff can happen, and it's worth taking along in what would normally be a very, very bearish market. In about 2.5 days, and I made about $23 mining Ergo. What kind of setup you working with? It's pretty good. XMR is supposedly short squeeze new to people being told to withdraw XMR, and exchanges not actually have an XMR stock as they sell paper XMR. Huh. That would be something. You should check out Ted Nelson. He created hypertext. He's a great theory on Satoshi too. Huh, I'll check him out. I always liked Satoshi theories. You bet the Korean guys never read Trading in the Zone? I bet you a lot of people haven't. Does Trading in the Zone give me a strategy that's going to make me lots of money? Oh, it just talks about how I'm a loser and I need to change? Yeah, I think I'll pass. What's the market outlook? Like I said, I'm still macro bearish based on the macro setup, but temporarily because we do have a setup for bullishness, divergence, as well as just the general setup itself. I think we could be temporarily bullish for a retest, but I don't think it's going to be like a bullish move. That's just me personally. Yeah, I think that's always, the move. Elon being Satoshi, it makes sense to me. Just the way things worked out, and just the fact that like Elon has a proven track record of like putting his money where his mouth is. He's not afraid to do stuff that is going against the grain, like him buying Twitter right now. Who else, has put their money where their mouth is when it comes to defending speech? Obviously, Donald Trump, he got into a position of power. He became president, but Donald Trump doesn't have as much money as Elon Musk does. Well, look at Bezos. Bezos, has he tried to, make an improvement? No. He kind of just, it's almost like a playground thing. Like Elon shows up and he's the new kid, and he just moved, from a different state, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, look at him, he's so cool." And then, Jeff Bezos was the cool kid on the schoolyard. He's like, "I can do what he can do. Oh, he can build a spaceship. I can build a spaceship. I'm gonna make mine look like penis." And that's just how it goes. So now I guarantee you that, like, Jeff Bezos is gonna go, "Oh, he wants to defend democracy and free speech with his riches. I'm gonna do the same thing." And then he goes and buys some company that's not performing how they should. Maybe he buys YouTube, and he's like, "YouTube, you've been silencing people." And everyone's like, "Yeah, Jeff Bezos, we love him. Praise the Bays," But don't forget, Elon did it first. No matter what happens. I want to be a better trader like you. How can I learn about your TA style? Can you recommend some of the YouTube channels or books? Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Pretty much the best book you can possibly read. Trader Tom on YouTube. Very good person to look up to. If you want to learn about my specific trade style, Harmonic Elliott Wave, a case for modification of R. and Elliott's impulse wave structure by Ian Copsley. I have a tutorial on ABCs. There's about 500,000 live streams where I talk about real-time price action and how I developed through it. Particularly go watch the last 2 months, man. There's no easy answer to this. You want an easy answer, go somewhere else. Go buy Market Cipher. There's your easy answer. All right. If you want to learn, watch the streams. Go check out the stuff that I just talked about. It's going to take time. It's like I said, your brain has to physically change its shape to think the way that you need to think in order to be profitable long term. Without the use of drugs, that's going to take a couple of years. All right. If you don't want to use drugs, but you do want to increase the speed, research meditation techniques and actually do them. It's my advice. I haven't heard that book title in at least 3 months. Yeah, right there. Trevor has the right idea. Retrading in the zone, trade for a little bit, make more mistakes, go retrading in the zone again. Oh, I've been doing this way. That's the cool thing about trading the zone. It does require you to read it multiple times. Because the first time that we were retrading the zone, most of the time you're reading it superficially. If someone told you to read something, you kind of skim through it a little bit. You're reading it, but are you like understanding it? Like our ego tries to make us feel like that we are, but we're just trying to get the answer quickly. Like, what do I do? How do I make money? And then, you take that information, you go trade in the market some more, and you're like, man, this book really didn't help any. And if you have the right way of thinking, you go back and you read the book again, and you realize, okay, I really wasn't paying attention the first time. This right here, the way he's talking about, makes a lot of sense, and he's basically describing me to a T. And that happens multiple times. So like I said, your brain is changing its shape as you trade. Now, that's the thing. If you trade the wrong way, your brain will start changing shape to make that worse. If you start trading the right way, your brain will start changing shape to make that better. If you treat trading like a gambling addiction, your brain starts to shape as someone that has a severe gambling addiction. If you start trading in terms of like analytical moves that make sense logically, and you're basically just putting your money in the best position possible, not the most profitable in terms of like, if I hit this trade, I'm going to make $1 million. But if I hit this trade, I'll make 10,000, something like that. And over a long period of time, it stacks up. And I mean, I just, I've been doing this long enough to know that people, me included when I first started this, we tell ourselves that it's not a gambling addiction. We tell ourselves that we're doing the best thing for our portfolio, but are you really? That's the whole part of trading that I talk about so much. It's the breakdown of the self. Because what is causing your failure is you. You need to basically find a way to remove as much of you from the equation as possible. And then if you do work at it in certain areas, you can start introducing it, but you have to keep the two separated. That's why when I talk about price action, I talk about my personal opinion and my strategic opinion based on my strategy, the code that is written, that I run through these hands, Can you say that book title again just for shits and giggles? Okay. Harmonic Elliott Wave, a case for modification of R.N. Elliott's impulse wave structure by Ian Copsley. That good? Thoughts on Moon River? I ain't never heard of it. I ain't never heard of it. I ain't got no thoughts. Moon River? Is that like ancient Japanese katana passed down from generation to generation? It has a curse. That's what it sounds like to me. Moon River has been in my family for generations. The samurai who wields it has massive power. But at the same time, the longer that he holds it, he gains crippling debt. Can't stop buying Lexuses. But he's got power. Have you ever heard of spider lines? Have I ever heard of spider lines? Hopefully that was a joke. If not, someone will fill you in. I ain't got time for that. If we go back to the first video where he brings up spider lines, he goes, I got it from another trader, but I think I made it better. Who do you think that was? That was me, dude. And I made them better by removing them from my chart. Like I said, I mean, if you're into more of the investing side of cryptocurrency, GON fans have shown some sort of reliability, but for leverage trading, I don't think it's a good tool. My personal opinion. I just watched The Wolf of Wall Street, and I've been doing okay since. Rupert Peters, what's going on, man? Check it out, how horrible it is. All it knows is down. All right, I'll look at this. Moon River. Moon River. Mover. It's on KuCoin and Gate.io. That's I'll tell you right there. I mean, okay. Here. We'll talk about it. All right. You do have an ABC with support around this level, which is what we're currently sitting at. You can see it has a very similar setup to Bitcoin right here. So if we get back above this level, that's a decent setup. It's the problem, man. You're playing with a shitcoin that can be heavily manipulated because it's on shitcoin websites. All right, KuCoin should just be honest, change their name. Shitcoin website. Come get your shitcoins. Come on. Get them. I know I might be pissing people off when I say stuff like that. But my coin was on KuCoin before any other exchange, and it turned out to be a good coin. We will see. Right? I know coins have to get their start somewhere. And KuCoin is kind of like the lowest hanging fruit to get it listed on. But, I still hate KuCoin. Yeah, if your coin can go get listed on Binance and everything like that, okay, I'll take a look at it. I won't treat it the same way, but if it's just on KuCoin, there's something to be said. You don't like CryptoFace? It's not that I don't like CryptoFace. I think the dude's funny. And just like with Ryan, I don't have to agree with the way that someone does things, and I can still have, respect for them or just kind of see them, not in a negative light. Like I said, my gripe with CryptoFace is mostly his brother, not necessarily CryptoFace himself. But because they are a team and they run their community together, his brother is a representation of CryptoFace. So Ba-da-boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. You think his trading is too unorthodox? No, like I said, I don't care what your trading strategy is. I don't care if it's ABCs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, Gone fans, Bollinger Bands, uh, Market Cipher, Fu Manchu. I don't care what your trading style is. What I care about is if you are a representative of trading and you like utilizing YouTube to spread that information, you do it 100% correct. 1. Selling an indicator for the price that he's selling it, I don't agree with. He believes that he owns that indicator and 100% has the rights to it. He can sell it for what he wants. That's his deal. I don't agree with it though. He kind of promotes Market Cipher as kind of like the holy grail. And in a market where people come in and they want an easy answer, they want to start making money fast because we might be in a bull run and they feel like they have no time to waste. You go, okay, if I just spend $1,500 on this thing, it's going to make me a millionaire. I'm going to do it. They do it because they fall for it. The people that he has surrounded himself have stolen my ideas and given me absolutely no credit. CryptoFace himself, when I put out the videos on Market Cipher and the tutorials on Market Cipher, he sent me on his own fruition. I absolutely no way asked for payment. He sent me a gift for the work that I had put in. So I'm very upfront with that. He sent me $1,500. It was a very good thank you. But just because someone gives me money doesn't mean that I am going to shill for them. So at the time, I was using Market Cipher and I was always upfront with how I used it. And over time, my strategy has shifted. And I tell people how Market Cipher back then, uh, in some way, shape, or form, was an evolution of what I am now. You know, the VWAP importantly, because it wasn't if this and that, it was a true or false, and that's what most of my strategies have tried to revolve around. And like I said, his brother contacted me twice, and each time that he contacted me, dude was high, like really high. I ain't got no problem with smoking marijuana at all, man. If that's you, that's you. But when you're going to talk to somebody in a professional setting, where YouTube channel to YouTube channel, um, at least be respectful. And then as well as that, he reached out to me to learn about the restored calculator. Before, you can look at the timeline. Before I had the restored calculator, and I was using it for months. They never even had that idea. They never even talked about it. But now, after this meeting with me and me explaining the formula to him and how this thing is so incredibly useful and why I like it and why I made the formula, and then someone in my community made an Excel spreadsheet calculator for it, and then it turned into this website, which I'm extremely grateful for. That's what I like about my community. It's open source pretty much. But for them to take that, give absolutely no credit, and then turn it into a website that you have to own Market Cipher in order to access, to me is a little bit just uncool. Like I said, I mean, if they would have made it free, if it's 100% free, I don't care if I have credit, because at the end of the day, I just care that people are being okay with their money. And the restored calculator, I think, incredibly improves your chances beyond any indicator to be successful in the market, because it's breaking down the mathematics of what you're willing to lose in the R&R, which that's where it all begins. All right, if you understand the mathematics of win ratio and what your average takeaway is, you can incorporate that into any trading strategy. And if that trading strategy can be broken down into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step process where it is replicatable, then you have a recipe for success. But if not, if it's left up to intuition and the interpretation of the viewer, that person's mindset's going to change over time. So therefore, they're not going to be able to make the same trades that they might be banking now. Then 2, from person to person, it's not replicatable because everybody thinks differently. Like I said, I bought Market Cipher for the same reasons. So, like I said, whenever I talk about stuff, I'm talking about it from my perspective. And the fact that people relate to it is because I'm being honest about how I felt when I bought those things. That's all. You know? And, like I said, I mean, I don't know if things would have turned out differently if I didn't realize the mistakes I made. Like I said, when I bought Market Cipher, I bought it for 0.1 Bitcoin. To today's date, I've spent $4,000 on Market Cipher. If Bitcoin gets to $1 million, I would have spent $100,000 on Market Cipher. No. I get asked a lot about Market Cipher, and that's why I typically just say, I just don't use it anymore, because that's the whole thing. Like I said, I don't say this stuff to start YouTube drama between channels, and hopefully it sparks up, a fight, and then all this kind of stuff. I say it because it's authentic and it's what happened. That's all. Can you explain the math on your hedge? So what do you mean by the math of the hedge? I guess what I mean is you are staying in your macro short but taking a short term. Yeah, so the idea is it's a win-win situation. All right. Well, win-win, small loss if it is not win. All right, makes sense? All right, so I have the macro short off of this larger ABC setup here, which I'm holding on to. All right, now I didn't get this entry. I got this one right here, so be a little bit more authentic with that. So I'm holding this short position because with us being in this scenario, we can assume that the market wants to retest, or at least try to double bottom off of 33K. Because if we cannot push above this area, we need to go back and retest the strongest area of support. Because then if we can hold there again, we can go retest this area, and now we might be able to actually break through it the third retest. But we don't know. We don't know if this is going to hold. This could very easily, come back down to 29, retest that, find support, come back above. All right. So short term, since we have not broken past this support, we can always go back up and retest this upper side. And like I said, I'm not saying that we can't continue to be bullish. What I'm saying is, from my perspective, my strategy's perspective, more importantly, we are macro bearish. But I have to remember that I'm not right about the way the market moves. I can be wrong. So if I can sacrifice a small amount of the already made profit to, one, secure a majority, or if secure all of the profit that has been made on this short up until this point, all right, I'll do so. So I'm not holding this long to battle. Like I said, there's two different versions of hedging. There is a battle hedge, which is what I like to call it because it makes it sound cooler than it actually is, where you take a 1-to-1 ratio. Basically, if this short was worth $400, this long would be worth $400. Same everything, same leverage all across the board. And then you would basically hold one or another until one of them gets stopped out. Basically, if I was in $500 worth of profit when I took this long after taking the short, I'm basically locking in that 500 because now it's a 1-to-1 ratio. If the market moves up, the short loses $5, the long gains $5. It's canceling each other out, but I'm still staying in $500 worth of profit. All right. Now, since my macro is extremely bearish, but we do have the potential for upwards price action based on this smaller setup, I am making the decision to take the hedge trade in terms of short-term profit rather than battling. All right. So I'm looking at what's appropriate. I'm looking at the Fibonacci's and seeing what the Fibonacci's are calling for based on this structure. You know, 44,000, 43,000. Now we want to see if there's any real historical price action that lines up with that equivalent. You can see right here, this was one of the local highs. We have uptrend, and that uptrend's broken, and it creates a resistance. We can see that is around, 42,666. So that's why I'm aiming for that 43K region, because it lines up with historical resistance and it lines up with Fibonacci resistance. So, as well as that, I'm not using a 1-to-1 ratio here. I'm using about $300 worth of margin on the long, and I'm using, close to $500 on the short. So, like I said, what's going to get you in trouble is people will go, well, Austin, if you really think that this is the possibility, if you think that's what's going to happen, all right, why don't you take profit on your short and then take the long? Because then you're securing the maximum profit on the short, and then you have the opportunity to collect all the profit on the long, and then you can just go re-short. Well, how do we know that once we get to that region that one, we're going to stop going up? And two, how do we know that we're going to get another short setup that I can take appropriately and not get stopped out 10 times on? All right. So it's all about making sure that you're making the most secure decision for the price action and what it's calling for in your account in particular, and how your account is currently structured in terms of where you're taking shorts and longs from, versus trying to be greedy and making the most profit in a market that has in no way, shape, or form has to listen to what your opinion is. Like I said, even though we're getting a momentary bounce here, it can be very, very short lived, and then we can free fall off a cliff. Remember what happened over here? All right. Same exact scenario. All right. We're coming down in a downtrend. We form a little bit of a B. We form the C. I'm starting to get bullish. Right here. Boom. Downtrend, broke into an uptrend, broke into a downtrend. Right here, we put in a lower low. All right. Talking about everything left of this line. Okay. Right. We put in a lower low and we came back above the A. So at that point, strategy tells me to be bullish. But if I was playing this smart, I should have been holding on to a short from up here. Okay. Which unfortunately I wasn't. So when we did happen to have a fail of finding support, we had to dive back down to the closest layer of support. Now, we didn't hit the absolute pinnacle of support, which would have been the 29, 30K region. But since, a lot of trading happened from here to here in this region over here, we started to find support right here. Like I said, it's all about making sure that you're doing what's appropriate for the account. So if we do happen to go back up and retest 43K, I'm taking profit at 43,000 because I think that's what's most likely to be retested and then see rejection based on the percentages involved. All right. Now, people might go, well, what percentages? All right. I'm not talking about like legitimate, like I have this calculated down to a T. But when you have a gigantic macro setup versus a small setup, we can assume that the percentage chance of the gigantic macro working out versus this tiny one forcing us into a next bull run, the big macro has a higher percentage. That's all I'm talking about. So, like I said, I take the hedge because what if we do continue going up past 43K and I'm wrong about going short, right? I'm not concerned about continuing to hold the long. I just want to make sure that I make some money if I was wrong. That's all. Okay. And I'm okay with losing a little bit to ensure that I at least walk away with something rather than nothing, because I could be incredibly stubborn right now. Say, even though we have signs that we could be bullish, I don't care. I'm just going to hold my short because I don't feel like losing on stop losses. And what if I'm wrong and we lose all of that profit? See what I'm saying? So it's better to lose a little bit to ensure you walk away with something than to be stubborn and walk away with nothing, even though you think that you're making the right decision because I'm going to make more money. Just because you're going to make more money doesn't mean that it's safer. See what I'm saying? It's exactly how we play this over here. I took the long off of this ABC setup right here. We had downtrend that broke into an uptrend. No indicators. I didn't care about the RSI or anything like that. Now, I was pointing out that on the daily RSI, we had continuation bullish divergence, but that's the daily RSI. That's something that does matter. But the 5-minute, 15-minute, if you want to use it for confirmation, be my guest, but it really doesn't matter. All right, the setup's going to be the setup no matter what. All right, so I was looking at this and I said, okay, we have an uptrend, right, that broke into a downtrend. And at the bottom of this downtrend, we see the ability for reversal. So if this does reverse here, there's a big probability that we'll at least retest this A. So I took the long and I held on to it. So at that point, we continue holding. And I took, short-term hedges here. And by the time that we were right here, I had already made up for all of the profit that could have been lost with this long by taking these shorts right here and right here. All right. So once we put in the macro setup and we came back below this A, I took like 2 shorts, but then opted to play this resistance right here to save me a little bit of headache. So once I had the short set up here, I took a short and I was still holding the long, I was still holding the short. And because there was no place whatsoever that I could confidently get back into a long if I was wrong about shorting, right? Once we put in this downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, and we were sitting in a lower low, I said, okay, now I can take profit on my long because I have a place to confidently get back into the market. But if I'm wrong about us being able to get back into the market and go long, and we're going up to 52K, I am now holding a macro short position, and the probability is already leaning to the macro short position. Like I said, once we put in that higher high and we came back below this level, it's signaling to the market that the sell pressure in that region is too high. I don't need footprint charts to tell me that. You can see it. You can physically see it with your eyeballs. So that's what I'm saying. You look at all these other TA people, and it feels like they're constantly adding shit to their repertoire to make themselves, either one, they're doing it because they just don't know they're doing it, and they want to make themselves feel better and smarter and feel like they have more of an edge on the market, or they want to appeal to mass consumers that are coming into the market and they go, oh, this guy knows so much information, he knows what he's doing, right? So then they go to their channel and they get lost in the sauce. I'm not talking about shit on anybody in particular. I'm just talking about this is what was happening to me before I started to realize what my problem was. Right? Because I think if you give it enough time, all these other TDA channels, they'll start to realize what the real answer is. I just so happen to figure it out faster just because I was pretty much raised like that. Right? Like I said, my stepdad, if it wasn't for him, I don't know how my mind would think. Right? That's what I'm talking about. Psychology, meditation, learning how you react on a biological level to stresses and excitement. That's why it's so important to learn the biology, the dopamine and system and everything like that. And that's why, like you look at people like Trader Tom, and in the documentary, it's not really like a documentary, like the little show that he did, which it's all in his native language. So you do have to have subtitles on. But, he's not like all the other YouTubers where it's like, I hit the gym, I put in my trades, blah, 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 I drink my creatine in bulk. And then they're talking about all this stuff. Like, you got to have a healthy mind. No, I mean, he's just sitting on the beach. And he's relaxing before he goes to the charts, stuff like that. He's not in the gym, high stress, sympathetic nervous system. He's relaxing. He's calming down. That way, when he goes to the charts, he makes better decisions. And I did some research to figure out, because, like a couple weeks ago, we had that guy that came into my chat, and he was like, do you know what a footprint chart is? I go, no, what's a footprint chart? But just being genuine, like, I don't know what a footprint chart is. Explain to me what a footprint chart is. I wasn't being arrogant. I just wanted to know. Instead of saying it, he goes, if you don't know what a footprint chart is, you're really not that knowledgeable. trying to discredit all of my accomplishments and how far I've come just because I don't know this one thing. I look it up afterwards off stream, and it's basically just bookmap. It's telling you where there's, strength and weakness in the markets, and you can take advantage of it if you know how to read the information. And yes, I'm not saying that stuff isn't useful. I'm saying is it something that you can't figure out on your own? Like I said, I mean, I can just look at the candlesticks and I can tell, that this region, I don't know the exact numbers, but I can see it. I can see it with my eyeballs. I can see that region can turn into a strong resistance, or, if enough volatility can break through it, we'll see a massive breakout. This is how price action works. That's why right here, I identified this region as a possible region for price action to show that it could be bullish. So even though I'm macro bearish, I take a long. I don't know if I want to call out names, but somebody that, if you look in the past of their channel, in no way, shape, or form ever alluded to a footprint chart, all of a sudden is talking about footprint charts. And of course, like everybody, they sell a course. Like I said, I mean, I'm not a saint. In the past, I had the $500 one-on-ones, and even though like I knew that I was kind of playing into that trope of all the other YouTubers and how they just, package a whole bunch of useless information, I tried to be as authentic as possible. I told people what they were getting into, as well as that I wanted to make sure that my physical time was in there as well. Instead of just recording videos and putting it into a course, if I was going to take money out of people's pockets, I was going to give them my physical attention and as much of it as I possibly could, until I was at a breaking point where it didn't make sense anymore logically. And even at that point, I was still profitable. I don't think I was as profitable as I am now, but I felt like I had something to pass along to people. If I would have done it now, would I be teaching different information in a different way? Yeah, but it would be so much less information that it doesn't make sense for me to do it. I can do it through the live streams. I can do it through short-term tutorials. I talk about trading in the zone. Like it's a really good indicator of whether or not someone's going to be successful. Like I said, most people, when they come into the market, they want a trading strategy. That's why when most new people come to my channel, they ask about ABCs. How do I do them? How do I spot them? All this kind of stuff. And I get the curiosity. I do. But the strategy itself is not what's important. It's the way I think, the way I act, not the 1 + 2 = 3 setup. Exactly, like if you're selling a course, Become a Millionaire, and that's why, like, even though like I was selling a course, it wasn't like logistically something that would ever raise suspicion in terms of like eyeballs. You look at like Ty Lopez, his objective is, how do I sell this course to as many people as humanly possible? Me, alternatively, yes, I was selling a course, but I am physically there teaching it, and as well as that, I'm not doing SEO and advertisements to try to bring in as many eyeballs as possible. If you're there and you like the content already, get some more. And also, there's people that have been sitting in my Discord for like, 3 years now, because a part of the deal was you would be a part of whatever community I was in for lifetime. So they paid $500 back then. Already, if my Discord's $50 a month, already got a couple $1,000s worth of value. At Kite, when you have a baby, if it talks like Mike Tyson, will you still love it? I'll probably love it a little bit more, which I don't know if I should say that, because I'm probably going to have a baby one day and it's not going to talk like Mike Tyson. So it's gonna be like, does my dad really love me? And then like we're gonna be sitting there eating cereal, watching the morning news, and all of a sudden, my son or daughter starts talking like Mike Tyson. I'm like, why are you doing that? What happened? Let me check your front teeth. You okay? And they're like, last night I was watching the Akashic records of your life. And I saw you on Livestream, and you said you would love the version of me more that talked like this guy. I'm like, no, it's not because you talk like him, because Mike Tyson just, I love what he represents right now. Like, if you look at Mike Tyson, like Joe Rogan's talked about this, but also just listen to the man talk. Not other people talk about him, but listen to him talk. He's come from like this vicious caged animal perspective and massive ego to build up great success. And then, once he had it, once he realized the negative things that can come from it, he basically tore it all down, broke himself in half and gave it all up. He's still wealthy, but I'm talking about from like spiritual perspective, psychological perspective. I mean, a lot of that just comes with age too, but he did it in a very extreme way. As people grow older, obviously they gain more knowledge on how they should have done things better, but man was out here just doing massive amounts of DMT to basically fire squad his ego. I mean, only DMT has the power to break down an ego like Iron Mike Tyson's. 'Cause otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if it would have happened. You asked this question earlier, and I answered it. You said, "Are you always positive?" No, like I said, overall, like a macro perspective, I'm always positive because, like I said, it all ends up the same way. Once you realize that there's really nothing that can hurt you. Obviously, like being a physical being, if someone punches me in the face, I feel pain, but pain's temporary. When a family member is in a situation that seems hopeless and you love them as much as anything else in this world, and you would rather suffer than see them in that situation. Of course, like that brings me great pain. But like I said, there's a difference between short-term pain and suffering than if it's actually real long-term, because it's like a blip on a radar that never shows up again. Was it really even there, or was it a figment of your imagination? Where did you find out about the ABC strategy? So, like I said, I started with a lot of different indicators and strategies that were more like intuition based. Like, I would have to look at them and interpret whether or not we were bullish or bearish. There was no like definitive point of entry, definitive point of exit, or like a way to hedge. It wasn't very good for leverage trading. Let's just say that. And over time, I would like unconsciously or consciously kind of just continue to gravitate towards strategies or ideas that could be more solidified. Like a math formula. Math is once it's proven that is the formula can't change, right? Now, obviously with my trading strategy, I can tweak it a little bit over time, but you don't want to disrupt the entire process. So eventually Elliott wave kind of hit my radar. It was always on it because people would mention it, but I looked more into Elliott wave, and with a lot of the psychological stuff that I've done studies on, I could approach it a lot differently, where some people might come into the Elliott wave spectrum and they look at Elliott wave as like magic. like a lot of times when people talk about Gone waves or Gone fans, it's magic. I did the same thing, right? Uh, but really, it's not magic. It's not supposed to be, this is exactly what's going to happen. Because, yes, like the universe moves in these cycles that can be mathematically appropriate throughout like hundreds of years, right? Like how a pine cone grows. But because humans can disrupt that process of the natural flow of things, there'll be small alterations, and those small alterations can cause dramatic shifts in the direction of how this thing is going to transpire, right? It's like if you can bend a tree, and now the tree has to grow in a certain way. It's going to grow mathematically appropriate, but now because you interfered with the process, it's going to just look different. It's still beautiful mathematically, but it's going to be different, right? So with Elliott wave, instead of being simple-minded and saying, okay, this is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to hit this number, and then you put all of your bets on that, I looked at, okay, we have a 1, 2, 3. It could turn into this. It was like a branch. It was like a tree branch. All right, here's the main path that price action's going, but it could go a number of different ways. And I have scenarios planned out for each of those waves. All right. That's where like hedges and stuff come in and started to come into my mindset and how I play more. And you can see the progression of my channel with this. And then eventually I read Harmonic Elliott Wave, a case for modification of R and Elliott's impulse wave structure. And from there, this gentleman, Ian Copsley, explained how, what I've pretty much figured out, people were taking it too seriously, all this kind of stuff. Here's some of the shortcomings of what Elliott Wave can lead to. And here's how he dealt with it. He dealt with, the way that he dealt with it was simplifying it. Because if you're working with an animalistic brain such as a human's, and it really is stuck, neurologically to think a certain way, the more easy a concept is to wrap your head around, the more malleable it can be in terms of utilizing it the correct way. So you shorten it down to ABCs. Like I said before, the market still might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. But if you look at it, really, it's a 1, 2, 3, right? Because if you have a uptrend, you might have a 1, 2, 3 within the uptrend. But when you broke that trend with the fourth wave, you retested the uptrend and confirmed that you were bearish, and then from there, you start to fall. So instead of reading the market as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I just combine the 1, 2, and the 3 into an A. And then the 4 is my B and the 5 is my C. I'm basically just making the brain understand what it's seeing a little bit easier. So like over here, you might go, okay, well, this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But typically in Elliott Wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s have to look like this. They have to be, this kind of continuous uptrend. If you have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 that looks like this, yes, there is patterns that look like that, okay? But a lot of people, with traditional Elliott Wave, there's so much shit to memorize. WXYZ corrections, fifth wave, fourth wave extensions, blah, 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 blah. There's so much stuff to memorize, right? The more that you cloud your mind with shit to do, the less that you can focus on the stuff that matters. That's why you just keep it simple. Now, I'm not claiming that that's going to be the most profitable thing, right? No, but because you are taking so much stress off the board, your percentage chance to make a decision that is more valuable increases. Now, can you go and do things and over a long period of time build up a repertoire of information that is useful, but at the same time you've had enough time for your brain to be able to be less stressful while using that information, therefore increasing your overall profitability? Of course you can. But that happens over the course of like 15 years of trading. And people just don't feel like they have that much time. That's why I said, like, you can use substances to influence that. Silicon Valley, they use microdosing. And it all comes back to neuroplasticity, the dopamine system, dopaminergic activation, what it is. That's why I said before, like if you trade the wrong way, your brain is going to start taking the shape of it basically gets stuck in the wrong way. Like I talked about with addiction. If someone is an opioid addict, and you remove the opioids, and that was their main source of dopamine activation, dopamine is hugely responsible for neuroplasticity. So now because you remove the dopamine, their brain is stuck. It can't get dopamine from other sources as easily as it can from opioids. So now it's like we need that shit back. But if you introduce another way of dopamine activation while removing the substance that you want to get rid of that's negatively impacting you, you can help the brain get back to homeostasis, if you want to call it that, easier, right? The antidote that I like to talk about is the first time I quit nicotine was incredibly hard because nicotine was the only drug that was impacting my dopamine system, on a regular basis. So when I quit it the first time, it took me like 2 weeks to get back to like a normal brain, at least somewhat. And the first week was absolute hell. I literally just sat in a bed in a dark room. I couldn't even think. The second time that I quit nicotine, which I had gone back to nicotine and the fact that I went back to nicotine so easily is another proof in that whole theory. Um, you know, when I went back after a couple months of still smoking. So the second time I still was smoking heavily, vaping heavily. But this time around, it only took me maybe 2-4 days. And yes, they were difficult. But after that period of time, back to normal, and it's a much different feeling. I'm not thinking about vaping at all, unless I'm conceptualizing it like I'm doing right here. But this time around, I had the use of a small dose of amphetamines. Right, amphetamines are very dopaminergic, so therefore my brain had a crutch. It had a way to get back to normal faster. Whereas if I just remove the dopamine, it's stuck for a while. And it still craves ever so slightly the way that it used to get dopamine until it gets back to, baseline. And people on the live streams and stuff, they were going, "You've changed, Kite. You've changed. What happened?" Telling me I was a douchebag and stuff. And I mean, that's what happens, man. If you have a low amount of dopamine and you're missing it, you're more easily agitated. That's why, like, if you attach dopamine activation from trading, right? That's why, like, it requires some sort of distance mentally, right? Because if trading is the way that you get your dopamine, whether it's a win or a loss, because sitting in a trade and thinking about the winnings can cause dopamine activation. So that's what I was saying before. It requires you to separate yourself from the charts, mentally. Obviously, being a trader, our job is to be there and trade the price action. So it requires some sort of like mental gymnastics where like you can sit there and stare at a chart and not get antsy. Because if you're on a gigantic losing streak, right, it's like a withdrawal from dopamine. You no longer have your smokes. So therefore become grumpy, your cortisol levels go up. And this is why it's so important to learn the science behind what's happening. That way, because if you learn what's happening in your brain, even though you might be in the case scenario that's causing the negative side effects, because you are aware of how the brain actually works, you can go, okay, take a deep breath. All right, I've been on a huge losing streak. Because of that, I feel a certain way. My body is making me feel a certain way. And because you're consciously aware that that is happening, your chance to make a stupid decision goes down drastically. I'm not saying that it goes away completely because you're still in that state of mind, but it allows you to make a more decent decision. So, That guy was talking about a footprint chart is a student at Chart Champ, so am I. I use extra charts, which is ideal for scalps, day trades, but more trading I do. I keep finding myself in love with just simple clean chart, clean ABCs, or swing failure pattern as we call it. Yeah, a lot of people were talking to me about swing failure pattern. I was like, what is that? And obviously, it wasn't someone that was a dick in the chat, so they were like, hey, just Google it. And I was like, oh, that's an ABC. You know, that's what I was telling them before. We're like, I can see things in the chart because I'm keeping my head level-headed and thinking about it logically. I don't need a definition of a pattern to let me know that, you know, I should be doing something. I can see it in the chart. You know, I appreciate your perspective. Like I said, I don't think that if you follow a certain doctrine or somebody else, that you're going against the grain. Like I said, chart champions. From my perspective, I do think that it's a little bit of overcomplication. Uh, but as long as, because like I said, I don't watch the dude religiously. As long as like you're using your logic and you go, okay, even though like the stuff might be more complicated, he's making sense here because he might be coming from a different perspective. I don't know how long he's been trading, um, but I always be upfront that I still believe that psychology is the most important thing, the biology and the psychology. And then after that, it comes mathematics, like the plain and simple mathematics of statistics, and then boom, go find a trading strategy. And it's everything lines up to be able to, because you have to find a trading strategy that helps your psychology work better and your biology work better, and then it has to also work with the mathematics, be replicatable over a long period of time, and then boom, that's how you can weed out a lot of stuff. Do you follow any other crypto influencers on YouTube? I mean, besides Ryan Matta, because Ryan Matta, he's not really like a TA channel. He does more research. Obviously, he does TA because we're all trying to figure out what the best price to buy something is. Like I said, I mean, I'm friends with him wholeheartedly. I love the dude. I think he's a very kind soul. Do I have to agree with all the decisions he makes about how he runs his channel? No, but that doesn't mean that I'm not friends with him. Like I said, with Crypto Face, I'm not friends with him personally anymore. I don't really talk to him. Do I have disdain for the dude? No. And I compliment him on the things that he's done, that he went out of his way to be kind. But at the same time, there's some things here and there that I think could be done better. Critiquing his marketing strategy is, as well as some of the things personally that I feel like have been done to me. You don't have to hate people to critique the way that they do things. I think that's a big thing that we lose a lot in society. I get it, man. It's when you see people on television or on YouTube or on the news, we tend to forget that those people are alive and breathing, that they have histories, and they might have not always been like that. It could have been a changing factor, and it doesn't mean that they will always be like that. I think anybody has the capacity to change. It's just because we don't understand how to do it effectively. That's why I want to create like a retreat for people to figure out this kind of stuff, to feel this kind of stuff. Because it's one thing to read in a book, but do it and then feel the results. It's a lot different. Our Champions owner just recently hit his $1 billion. So yes, he's pretty excited about the way he does things. Complicated a little bit, yes. Hit a $1 billion trade, or I don't know what you mean by that. But I'll look around YouTube and see what the state of the market is in terms of like ideology. That's how I know that some people are doing things a little bit different. That's why I don't delete videos. I know that I can be critiqued very heavily for the way that things were done in the past, but I feel like it's important for me to leave that up. I know one day that there's probably going to be videos that come out of people taking clips out of context of all my past live streams and going, okay, well, he was saying this here, and now he does this here. Yeah, because I've grown up physically and emotionally and psychologically. I do things differently. First couple of live streams on my channel, I was pretty much freshly 18, 4 years ago. And through the research and educated use of substances, my brain is drastically different, and I would like to think that it is in a good way. People go, yeah, your brain is drastically different, man. It's definitely, you melted it. Yeah, do I think I did things a little bit too much? Of course. But I was a dumb teenager, having fun. What you're supposed to do. Life's short. I'm not saying go do Xanax and prescription pills. All right. Humans, as intelligent as we are, those are obviously the biggest killers. Go touch some fungus on some wheat. Have a fun time. $1 billion total portfolio, and they took first place in the Bybit trading competition worldwide. Damn, man, that's what's up. I'm a big proponent that, and this is why I like Trader Tom. I think is one of the best people to have on your list of people that you watch, because he doesn't talk about crypto in particular. And that's why people might not watch him as much as they watch someone like Crypto Face, because you want people that are trading, but you also want people that are talking about your market, so that way you guys can relate a little bit better. But Trader Tom, no, the one thing is having a high win ratio. Most of the time, that's illegitimate, and that's why I talk a lot about the fact that, like, I maybe win 15 to 20% of the time. But I can prove mathematically that's how I'm profitable. Because people, when you sucker people in to courses or whatever, by simply saying, I win 90% of the time, I win 70% of the time, people like to think, because once again, it goes into the psychology aspect. If I'm winning more, there's more dopamine going through my system. Once again, we love winning. So if you have the option of being long-term profitable with a strategy that only wins 20% of the time, but you might have to suffer 80 losses in a row before winning 20 times, just the extremes, obviously it's mixed up, jumbled up, versus being able to win 70 out of 100 trades, but those 30 that you lost are pretty extreme losses, and you're pretty much stuck or even negative. Most people would choose the path of least profit because it's the path of least pain. That's why it's so important that if you have a strategy statistically that's going to work and make you more profit, but has a lower win ratio, it's more important that you separate yourself psychologically from what's happening. When you lose, you don't lose. All right? Just because you lost a trade does not mean that you suck. It does not mean that the trading strategy sucks. Okay? Because it's going to happen. There's no way around losing. You have to make sure that you're understanding and you're comfortable when you lose, ask yourself this question: was it just a flip of a coin? Right? Was it pure chance, or was it a mistake in the way that I approached the price action? Most of the time, if you have an if this and that type strategy, right, which is replicatable over a long period of time, it was pure chance, not a mistake of yours. Now, like if you're seeing a constant thing of, okay, I'm using this trading strategy and I always fail, when price action looks like this, see if there's something else and then make small tweaks and then run the trading strategy again. If it starts to change in a positive manner, okay, cool. Find out. It's like the overclocking video that I did. It's pretty much the same concept. You're making small improvements, and then you find out what the maximum performance is before you break it, and it then becomes destructive. I'm increasing the overclock as much as I can. Small improvements. I'm getting more mega hash on my miners, and then my computer starts to crash. It starts to artifact. All right, the megahertz become unstable. All right, then I roll it back a little bit. Even though I'm not getting more profit, I'm not getting more mega hash, I'm comfortable because I'm making profit over time. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Kite, are you Cypherpunk? Cypherpunk. I don't know what that is. Talking about the video game Cyberpunk? I played it. I liked it. Unpopular opinion, but I liked it. I thought there was a lot of things that they could have done better. Mostly like the car customization. I felt it was kind of down the drain. I was expecting a little bit more, but I liked the game, like the overall story. I thought it was pretty cool. Hey, Guy, can you do a quick run through on the numbers with your strategy so far, like win ratio, gains, etc.? So I haven't really tracked like a trading trading journal, but over the course of like 2 months, I tracked my trades, and it came out to about a 22% win ratio with an average of a 9 R&R over the course of a very decent amount of trades, and most of those were losses, as you can see by the win ratio. But if you want to learn more about that whole concept, on my channel, there's a video called How to Leverage Trade Correctly. All right, go look at that video. And that should also talk about my strategy and everything like that. It talks about full Kelly, because if there's anything that you want to overcomplicate, which is not a word that I really want to use here, but something that you want to dive deeper into, it is the mathematics behind successful trading, such as Kelly Criterion, win ratio, R&R, and how that all plays together. Right, and then go critique yourself. Look at your trading strategy. Is it something that is like an algorithm that is ran no matter what? Right, because if you are influencing the statistics, you're ruining the whole concept. Like me, if I see an ABC, I take the ABC. Now, I do try to restrict myself to the higher time frames. You don't see me on like the 1 minute time frame playing little itty bitty ABCs and trying to catch every single little move up and down. I'm playing more of like the macro system. Sometimes I do find myself being a degenerate and going down to the smaller time frames, and usually it's to my dismay. I lose money that way, which is unfortunate, but it's fun. Guy Crypto, why don't you use Kelly Criterion? What are you talking about? I do. Kelly Criterion is just trying to find out what is your win ratio versus your average takeaway, and then that will pump out statistically what is the best percentage to use in terms of risk to maximize profit versus risk. Now, I'm not using the very center of the logarithmic curve of profit just because I just don't think that's appropriate whatsoever when you're in such a volatile market as crypto. So I'm usually on the lower end. We go to Kelly Criterion here. and we put in, a 22 win percentage with a 9 R&R, it's going to give me a lot more to work with than, say, you know, okay, so it's telling me that like 13% is safe to use. So, technically I'm supposed to be risking 13% of my account. And yeah, if every single like 10,000 trades I took was a 22% win percentage with a 9 R&R, yeah, 13% would work. But, this fluctuates. If we're in a certain type of market, I might have a 36% win ratio. And then if the market's just shit for a couple months, I might have a 15% win ratio. So if I'm using a 13% risk, and all of a sudden for a couple months I'm not tracking it and my win ratio goes down to 15%, I'm using 3 times, 200% more risk than what is appropriate for the mathematics. So I rather be as safe as possible because of the way the market fluctuates and the win percentage fluctuates. So that way, if the market's super good, I'm super good and okay. If the market's kind of shit, I'm still good. All right. But obviously there is that small chance that everything that can be lost. That's just how mathematics work. Right? There's always a chance for the either or extreme to be the case. Cypherpunk is an individual advocating widespread use of strong cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies as a route to social and political change. Yes, I think I don't think Gary V is the best quote here, but he was basically, Gary V has his quote, that he did on the Sunday conversation where he goes, "If you are pro crypto, you're basically getting into the dynamics of war," which I do agree with because it's a war on how we've been doing things for the past couple of hundreds of thousands of years. So, think that's going to cause some problems. So, yes, an individual advocating widespread use of strong cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies. Yes, I do think that is appropriate. Now, there is a conflicting issue with that because some of the experiences that I've had, privacy is actually destructive, but it's such a conflicting issue because that's coming from a different perspective. What I'm talking about is one of the NDRs I had, or NDEs, my bad. The place where I was, there was no concept of self, and all thoughts and information was instantly transferred through the network. There was no separation. So like when you had a thought, that person had a thought. It was like you were one organism. And because of that, there was no lying, there was no need for selfishness. So I don't know. It's such a strange thing. Like when I think about it too hard, my brain starts to actually hurt physically. So I don't know, because it's like I was talking about Neuralink and how you could have a conversation not through language but intention and emotion. And people are like, but what if they read your private keys inside of your head? It's a strange balance. Is Hex project a scam? I can't say yes or no, but what I will say is I do find it quite weird that Hex really only got its hype during the bull market, kind of like how most bad projects go. And the constant need to defend Hex through paying a whole bunch of people to get interviews. So make no mistake about it, when obviously some people are going to reach out and they're going to want to interview with you just because, but a lot of times you have to reach out to them and you have to pay them money to get on their channels. right? So, Richard's hard. He's going on 1,000 different channels trying to talk about Hex and get more attention to it and defend it, which the whole thing is if Hex is such a good project, it can defend itself. It doesn't need you to speak up for it. Just like how Satoshi doesn't need to come out the woodworks to defend Bitcoin. Time has defended Bitcoin. So, I just I'm not invested in it. Hey, I have a question for you. If you could only hold 3 cryptos until 2030, what would they be? Good question, because my thoughts on Ethereum have changed quite slightly. Just because the whole proof of stake thing, I don't necessarily think I agree with proof of stake. I think it's a short-term solution to obviously like a very huge interruption in the flow of the network, but I think it's something that time could figure itself out through proof of work. Because obviously more people get introduced to the crypto, more people start mining, especially with GPUs. There's always the whole thing. You have like the entire computer network at your disposal if it's worthwhile. Bitcoin, I think, is time tested. It's here to stay no matter what. And a lot of people disagree with me. They're like, well, Bitcoin sucks. It's slow. It's, but it's it's faster than moving bricks of gold. You got to admit that. So, I mean, yeah, it might take you 15 minutes to move $1.3 trillion. I know it's not your blazing fast proof of stake network, 1 second, 10 cents worth of fees. I get that. But maybe that's just not the purpose of Bitcoin. Maybe it's for, larger transactions, peer to peer, because yeah, if you're in Macy's and you want to buy a jacket, waiting 15 minutes for your transaction to go through maybe isn't the move. But if you're doing a car deal, you're buying a car off of someone on Craigslist and they're willing to take crypto, as long as there's some sort of security measures set up so no one can scam anybody, who cares if it takes 15 minutes as long as the transaction's secure? So, I know I kind of scanned over your question. I'm thinking it through. Bitcoin, 1. XMR is hard too because the governments are going to fight it. They're going to fight hard. XMR, I think, just because it's very similar to Bitcoin, but has the enhanced privacy. It's very, the mathematics are quite the same. And the fact that it's still ASIC resistant is incredible to me. I wish it was more profitable so that there was more hash rate on the network, more incentive for people to mine it. But I think XMR is pretty good. I hold some other altcoins. I hold Basic Attention Token. I really don't know, because obviously the third slot would typically go to Ethereum. So I'm going to go and say Ethereum Classic. Right? Because I don't know how this merge is going to work. I don't know if it's going to split off. Like, you're going to have Ethereum Classic, and you're going to have Ethereum Classic, and you're going to have Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say that Ethereum goes proof of stake. And it doesn't work. Do they have like a redo button? Because the technology of Ethereum is revolutionary. It's a great coin. But them going proof of stake, I think, could be the detriment. So I'm going to say my third option is Ethereum Classic. Because if the proof of stake network doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that Ethereum is shit. All right, the technology of Ethereum is shit. It's just the consensus mechanism might be screwing it up. So then I think you might see people go back to Ethereum Classic if there is no redo button. where they can just kind of revert back to proof of work on to what we are now. New banner, new thumbnail, camera. What else you doing? Nothing's new. I've had this camera for a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know, year and a half. And then this thumbnail, it's new in terms of like I switched it out, but I I started using this thumbnail. Let's see. I started using this thumbnail, like 2 years ago was when I first started using it. That's the same time that I got the banner. If that's what you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like I really haven't changed much. The only thing that's changed is my brain and how my opinions on certain topics. Every once in a while, like I'll kind of get in the spirit to make some sort of change, because obviously, like I want the quality of the videos to be better. If you have an easier time listening to me, i.e., upgrading my microphone or upgrading the processing on how I do that, the camera, that way you feel more connected as we're talking and through the chat. That's what's more important than bringing in numbers. Obviously, it brings in numbers because obviously better quality means people are more willing to watch, but it's a side effect. It's not the main source. Chains like Ergo making proof of work better. Yeah, like I know there's a lot of projects out there that are a lot better than the ones I just described. I get that, technology wise. But I think it's a matter of how much time they've been active and have proven their worth. Because like if Ethereum Classic compared to the Ethereum currently was such a detriment, I think there's no reason for Ethereum to Classic to even have. What is it sitting at right now? It's sitting at something decent. It's sitting at $36. For like a coin that is the predecessor to something that is so great. I think it's been that's pretty good. So that's why I chose it as my third one, because like if everybody has to go back to Ethereum Classic to reap the benefits of Ethereum, if this Ethereum doesn't work, the one that's coming up, proof of stake, this could see all that influx. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be mining Ethereum Classic when Ethereum goes proof of stake, so that's going to increase the network's security. So there's a lot of reasons why I think that's a good pick for my third one. And it will change in the future. I'm trying to balance between security and profit, as always. I'm not concerned about hitting the next home run. I did that. I did that with Bitcoin, and I'm very proud of myself. Bought in at $200 to $500 and traded a lot and made a lot when we were between 10 to 3K. I think there's a lot farther to go. I come sit on your couch just to be in the background, all naturally cool and shit. Kind of like how Glenny Balls on Sunday Conversation. he's just sitting in the background, just eating the ice cream sundae when they talk. We can do that. Sounds like a plan. Where do you suggest to take profits on your long? I can't suggest. What I'm doing personally is once we get up to about 43,000, if we do, I'll be taking profits on my long. If not, I'm willing to get stopped out. It has to work one way or the other. I don't care about all that. All I care about is that cute face. Ooh woo. Do you allow anyone in your trading studio? Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, it's not like it's a sanctuary where only I can go. Because I live with my family members. I live with my cousin. I live with my sister. So, every once in a while, I have a 65-inch TV, and we chill on the couch, watch Spider-Man, something like that. We just watched No Way Home a couple weeks ago. I let fish in my studio, which sometimes I regret that decision, but can't help it, man. He's got a cute face. I use your strategy and some of Chart Champion's methods combined. It's magic. Both you have some similarities, just use different terms. Like I said, I Chart Champions reached out to me for an interview quite a while ago. It was like during the bull market, I think, and I don't know what happened. We just kind of lost contact. So, if they're willing to do business with me, I would think that they're very similar in terms of how they're thinking. Because if they're authentic, I don't think they would reach out to a channel in the first place if they didn't think that they were halfway decent. So, Vermont, what's going on, man? How you doing? Just recently learned about the ABC. It was really helpful in predicting this move. Cheers. No problem, man. I said, I don't think I didn't make it up. It's always been there. Like I said, I think people focus on so much stuff that they miss stuff that's right in front of their face. I can point out a bajillion times where ABCs were the way to go. And even back when I didn't trade ABCs were there. And I didn't see them because I was a different person and my brain was shaped differently. Seems like you are young and can play the do it later card, which in time might change. What do you mean by that? You're talking about like when I refer to I'm not focusing on hitting a home run? Because I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm very wealthy for my age. I don't need to focus on getting more money because I got enough money. All right, we're chilling. We're sitting pretty. Go lay down. Go lay down. Now, like I agree with you. I've been talking about this a lot in my live streams. The do it later card when it comes to my health. That I agree with 100%. And I've been very upfront about how I've been thinking a lot about that and trying to take actions to better that. So I don't think I approach it the right way. When you're 16, 18, you're not thinking, obviously, like some people, that's what they choose to hyper focus on. The circulatory system and, cardiovascular, getting everything up tip top and hitting the gym. Most of the time it's because young kids are trying to get girls. So they want muscles, and it's just a consequence that they learn about health. I had different aspects of what I was trying to improve in my life at the time, so I didn't go that route. I'm trying to do it now. So in that way, I don't have the do it later card, because if I don't do it now, my later might never happen. So Doing good, man. I've done my risk, so I'm making a lot less per trade, but losing way less. And I took into consideration when you said percentage over profit. That's what's up, man. Like I said, when you're taking hedge trades and stuff, you are potentially giving up some of the overall profit, but the security goes up. So therefore, in the end, you're making more profit. It's just, unfortunately, it's not happening as fast as it could if everything worked out perfectly in a perfect world. Do you ever close your trade before it reaches your profit target and double tops? I don't. So maybe in the past I did, but nowadays, let's say that I'm in a long, right? So a really good example is this past couple months. So I took a long from 36,425, and my take profit, where I was expecting price action to go, was to retest 52,000. So my plan was to hold that long until we got to 52,000. But when we put in this ABC structure and we came back below this level and the market is showing signs of weakness, right? That now starts to change the probability from upside to downside. So it doesn't mean that I just take profit on my long, because what if I was wrong, right? And we did start, maybe we just had to go back down and retest this and then we continue going up. What if I was wrong about us going down? So I held my long, but I wasn't afraid to take the hedge short. Most people, right, when they're in this, the beginning stages of trading, their thought process is, if I'm going to take profit on my long, right? That way I make the most amount of profit, and then I'm going to go short, right? Because they're always concerned about making the most amount of money rather than securing the profit overall. Okay, because what if they were wrong? What if they took profit on their long, went short, got stopped out of their short, and then price action continued? Okay, so in this way, I'm locking in the profit from the long, or maybe even making a little bit extra if the margin is higher on the next trade. And then once the market came back down and it put in a significantly enough bullish setup, right, for me to get back into the market if we did turn bullish, that's when I took profit on my long. So I did not take my profit on my long all the way up here. I took profit all the way down here. People go, well, you missed out on so much profit. You suck at trading. No, I'm waiting for the market to give me the scenario where things are going to go my way no matter what. I might lose out on some of the profit, but overall, my security of walking away with more money increases dramatically. So at that point, I exited my long, both on Ethereum and BTC. Now, Ethereum, I did a little bit better job on. Ethereum, pretty much as we put in the lower low, I took profit. This one, it dropped down a little bit further than I probably should have let it. But at that point, I have a place to confidently get back into my long if we do happen to come back above that level right here of this time frame. But then my short, I'm losing out on the ability to make profit all along from here to here. Nothing really major, right? But then if we get back above that, I can make profit going forward all the way. And I have a strong layer of support underneath me. Make sense? So that's why I don't think it's really appropriate for you to just close your trade if there's a slight bit of weakness. It makes more sense to look at it logically, because there's never a 100% scenario that we're going to nosedive or going to, moon. All right. Play it appropriately. And that doesn't always mean that you're going to make the maximum amount of profit. So that's like right here. I am macro bearish now. I think we're going down. But when the market gives me an opportunity to go long in a place where the market can show that it has bullishness, I take that chance. I might get stopped out and lose profit on the overall trade, right? But the security of the whole concept goes up. Now, if this was a big enough setup, you know, maybe, you know, like if this does turn into like a 3-parter, where this turns into one big A, and then this move to the upside is a B, and then we come back down. Yeah, like if we do happen to put in an ABC like this, you know, in the future, and then we come back above, you know, that might be a long that I actually hold. You know, I battle trade it against my short. Makes sense? You know, it has to be kind of proportionate to one another, but something this size, given the fact that we already put in the uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, I don't have a lot of confidence. And, you know, kind of just logically, I'm not doing like actual math here, but the percentage chance that this is going to cause a disruption in the overall flow of the market is very slim, macro wise, you know, but it can do a retest of maybe like this resistance right here, or, you know, maybe even goes back up and tries to get closer to this. But I don't think that it's going to break past and continue up to the 52s, 53s, and stuff like that. But once again, like I said, I could be wrong, so therefore I'm making some profit on longs just in case. See? All about making sure that you're being safe with it. When I DM'd you on Discord a while back, I was definitely euphoric. It was the first time I actually gotten lucky. I was playing alts left and right. I've only been playing BTC and ETH from now on. That's pretty good. Like that, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing that you're playing alts. I just think the expectation is the problem with a lot of people. That's why, like, if you play BTC and Ethereum and you get used to how that market flows, all right, then you understand, okay, this is a higher probability that these things will work out when I'm playing BTC and Ethereum. When I'm playing altcoins, especially low volume, low market cap altcoins, random events can happen. So therefore, you played a slightly different. Right? I still play ABCs when I'm playing on altcoins, but I'm using less risk because the R&R is higher. If that makes any sense. Yes, so it's fighting you in some places, then you see how it might overtake your whole life and do it later. We become that little bit. So it's fighting you in some places, then you see how it might overtake your whole life. I don't quite understand the statement, but I know that there's good intentions behind what you're saying. Are you talking about like it might overtake my life in a good way? Is that what you're saying? Like how, you know, I'm making the beneficial changes and realizing that the delayed gratification is the way to go, and that's going to expand into other aspects of my life positively. So honestly, not upset that I blew that account because I think it was the final lesson I need to actually learn firsthand. I wouldn't trust that it's always the final lesson. There's always more. Even for me, man. Like I said, learning new shit all the time. Um, Starting small again is good for me. I feel like I'm gonna last now. He said, "Don't take that last part out of context." All I'm saying, man, is ashwagandha is pretty good for that kind of situation. Not the reason why I'm taking it. I'm taking it to expand my blood vessels so I don't have a goddamn stroke. But you need it for that reason, but not. Hey man, I wasn't even gonna take it out of context. You did that. You did that. You know what you were doing. And have I looked at tethered dominance? I know there's correlations. Like we can make the correlation between like the US 100 and Bitcoin. And obviously the flow of money in and out of Tether is in some way representative of buying and selling from US dollars. I don't think it's like a 1-to-1, but obviously it could give you some sort of correlation. But a lot of the times, once again, it's like divergences on the RSI with ABCs. Like the correlation's there. When we see a bearish ABC, we can typically see a bearish divergence. But it's gotten to the point where like the correlation is so decently strong that when I see a bearish ABC, I don't really need to check the RSI because most of the time it's going to have the divergence anyways. The only reason why a lot of times I show the divergence is for you guys, because I know there's some people that still need the indicator to give them some sort of confidence on what they're doing. It's not good or bad, just change the way you make decisions and change character. As always, that's all we can do. What would you do / work if you didn't trade? Like if I never got into crypto at all? Because even if I didn't trade, as long as I wasn't stupid and didn't blow my money that I made from the first bull market that I was in, at this point in time, I would still be sitting pretty enough to kind of live a decent lifestyle. Like I said, I mean, you don't need anything crazy. For me, in particular, like $30,000 a year would suffice for a decent lifestyle and enough fun. Obviously, if I had a big family and I had children to support, that number would go up. But I would be chilling. If I never went into crypto at all, I'd probably be a system network engineer, building out the networks and then maintaining them. I like that. I like that a lot. That's why I like mining. It's pretty cool to me because it's networking. You're building out a network, but it's the physical part of it, which is what I really like. More importantly, because that's what I was going for. Like, from my freshman year, that's when I started selling the candy to put into Bitcoin. But at the same time, that's when I started my A+, Net+, Security Plus certifications. So by the time I finished school, I had made the money from Bitcoin and I had my certifications. So now it's like, do I go get a job or do I pursue this thing that could be more profitable and, give me more free time for myself rather than going to a job? I'm not saying jobs are the devil. Like, there's this misconception like 9 to 5 suck. If you can find a 9 to 5 that you like to do, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Because, I'm running into this problem myself where, I have too much free time and I don't really know what I want to do. And then also at the same time, I'm kind of lazy. So I'm not utilizing that time correctly. The live streams for me are pretty much my job in terms of like, it's something to keep my mind busy and to keep me active in terms of like something to look forward to. But if you lose that connection to something to look forward to, you kind of just waste away. Why, old people, tend to take up woodworking or something, just something to do. Because if you don't have something to do, you waste away. Physically, but more importantly, mentally. How many coins do you focus on at one time? Typically, I focus on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I take the information that Bitcoin and Ethereum are telling me, and then when we're at these very crucial moments in time, I can go look at other coins and see if they have setups I can take. That way, like, I'm not focusing on shit coins too often. I'm only focusing on them when bigger market moves are going to happen, and then I take my chances with them. Because shit coins usually have higher R&Rs, so you don't have to put as much money into them. Duper. What's up, bro? Good to see you streaming. How goes the world? Pretty good, man. This week's been pretty good. Last couple of weeks, I've been putting a little bit more pep in my step when it comes to trying to be a little bit healthier. I've been drinking my beet juice every single day, getting that nitric oxide. I'm still like, I haven't been taking like a lot of ashwagandha just because I've been, I do research on the stuff that I take extensively. And some of the stuff with ashwagandha is not it's not like life threatening in terms of like the R&R of the use of ashwagandha. There's a very, very small percentage that has immediate liver failure from ashwagandha, but usually it's because there was already underlying problems. That makes any sense? So I don't think I have any liver problems. So I take ashwagandha. I'm going to my sister's house, helping with projects, trying to get up on my feet. Today it's a rainy day, so I'm not going out and doing anything. Which, I might go to the mall or something. Beet juice, ew. Baby Toadash, what's going on, man? How you doing? The beet juice that I got, it's blackberry flavored. So I'm not gonna say it tastes good, all right? Because usually the way it goes is anything that's healthy for you doesn't taste good unless you condition yourself to like that kind of thing. I'm talking about like the superfoods. Superfoods usually suck. You know, bananas. Bananas are good for you. They taste good. But now like beetroot juice, it's a superfood. You know, it really does help, but it tastes disgusting outright. So I just chug it as fast as I possibly can, get the benefits, and then wash it out of my mouth. Pretty much. But it's too good for you to pass up. You know, I don't know if the science, but it's not like a blood thinner. It doesn't make your blood thinner, but what it does is it's basically like adding less viscous oil to a car to make it move, the oil to move faster or better. Bad vocabulary, my bad. But it makes your blood move through your circulatory system easier because of nitric oxide. Which like if you have a blood clot, they typically put you on blood thinners so that you don't accidentally break off the blood clot. So having beet juice in your diet as a precaution, not a bad idea, even if you don't think you got a blood clot. Selling cane to buy Bitcoin. Love you, Kite. Just trading the NASDAQ and listening to you. I don't really trade crypto anymore, but always love listening to you. Keep the good work. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That was the move, man. If there's a will, there's a way. Obviously, being a 13, 14-year-old, there's not many ways you can go make money. So, I figured, hey, use the opportunities I got. That's like my first challenge portfolio. Like I said, I took $8, went down to the Walmart that was right down the street. I walked there. No money spent on gas. So already making a good P&L. And now I bought a box of 60 airheads. I made $12 profit. So 150% profit off of every single box I bought. And I flipped it into other stuff. Learning how to be a good drug dealer, but not underground. Been missing a lot of ABC setups, Kite. I think my mistake is that I try to merge it with Elliott Wave and also low confidence. I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Elliott Wave part, because traditionally, ABCs are the downside movement, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s are the upside movement. Which we see that from time to time, but it can easily flip. So I don't know. It's up to you whether or not you remove Elliott Wave and go all ABC, or remove ABC and go all Elliott Wave. It's up to you. The low confidence part, try using less money. If there's less money involved, you're more likely to take those chances because you can see how it works out. Probably my best advice. Do you enter that BTC song? Yeah, I did. I entered BTC and I entered Ethereum. And like I said, if we get up to 43K, I'll take my profit on that long. And probably around the same time be taking profit on the Ethereum long as well. But overall, still staying short. If I get stopped out of Ethereum and Litecoin, it'll be unfortunate, but it's part of the process. I can always get those shorts again from some other point. I like how you say selling candy when you were actually going ham, selling crack on the block. We can't be having misinformation. This is neither true nor false. This is something I can neither confirm nor deny. Monero's been on my list for a long time. No. Subculture in the BS chat last night. He said, he sent this picture right here. I knew it was going to happen one day. Someone was going to figure me out. You know, taking all the celebrities doing the Eye of Horus. Goes, holy crap, guys. I stumbled onto some rather concerning information. To the uninitiated, @Kite may appear to be a mild-mannered, good boy. But if you look beneath the surface, he's actually an agent of Satan, leading us all to doom. If you enter his name, parentheses, AAA Osteton Kite, which is actually the proper spelling on his birth certificate, he doesn't want you to know, in parentheses, into a gematria calculator, it equals 666. We all know the love of money is the root of all evil, and Kite's 30-to-1 R&R trades are the devil. Repent and turn back to 2-to-1 R&R trades before it's too late. I said this can't be allowed. This misinformation will not be tolerated. And my explanation, my rebuttal, all right, because if you look closely, all right, I said the difference is if you see my fingers, right? No. The difference is you see my fingers are tip to tip, symbolizing I have not interfered with the cycle of birth and death. If you look at my colleagues and how they're holding their hands, they have their index and their thumbs separated, symbolizing that they have broken the chain and wish to separate from the natural flow of things. Which, I don't know if that's true. Just something I made up on the spot. But, look, my fingers are tip to tip. Every single one of theirs is off to the side. You got that, and you got that. So I thought that was a good improv to save my ass and not be found out. Are you still on IF? Your face is shrunk. I haven't been keeping up with it like I should, but because I've just been more active overall, I've been maintaining the weight that I lost. So I was on IF for couple, like 3 weeks, I think, consistently, and I went from 222 down to about 198. And because I've been just kind of active, I've been able to maintain the 198. Your index and thumb hole is so big compared to the others. Yikes. It's because they're doing that. They're doing that right there. Instead of this, they're doing this. That's blood gang, homie. That's if you do the whole hand thing. So I don't know if Emma Watson's in Bloods. In the Bloods. Would you say that 42K is the next ABC entry for BTC? No. If you're talking about like a short ABC, no, because we would have had to put in a higher low in order for that to be a short. Since we put in a lower low before surpassing, or the chance to surpass 42,000, right, good to go. Because any short setup is going to happen from the creation of this uptrend going forward, right? But that's going to be a smaller time frame setup. This right here was not the setup for short. These two right here were, because I mean they were so close to begin with that they could be looked at as the same thing. No. The only other setup that we have, so like this is the only long setup for BTC that's going to be for a while. Like I said, if we go and we turn this into an A and we have a B moving to the upside and we come back down, we form a larger C, 38,829 could be the new entry for a bigger long. But no, this is the only long setup that we have right now. I need to get in your Discord and look out. Can you check to see if ABC is valid on 15-minute BTC from the last 15 candles? You talking about the long that I'm in right now, the downtrend, uptrend, downtrend? Because that's valid to me. But there's been no setup formed besides this one right here. This is the last valid setup. If I go down to a 15-minute, I can't see anything here. Devil's blood. Emma Watson is a crip. She a crip? And what if that was actually what was going on behind the scenes? That the entirety of Hollywood was separated into Bloods and Crips. It's almost like our whole entire political system's separated into blue and red. Dun, dun, dun. I'm just talking about America. Obviously not the whole entire political system. Actually, what the fuck? Yes, it is. What? It's all Bloods and Crips, bro. It always has been. You got the European, you got NATO, which is blue. You got communism, which is big red. We got Bloods and Crips. That's all it ever was. And fuck the Illuminati. It's all about Bloods and Crips. I was wondering, curious about how to open both long and short on Bybit. If you're on USDT, you can just have them both open at the same time. Like this is the same exact, section. And I have a long and a short open on BTC at the same time. On Inverse Perpetual, you cannot have an open long and open short at the same time because they will just cancel each other out. Right. So if you only want to trade Inverse Perpetual, you just have to have separate accounts or sub accounts, which weren't always a possibility in the past. But for real, your Signals group, not a Signals group, is the first one I'm actually thinking about actually paying for. That's a lot coming from me. I'm very cheap and weird shit like that. I would say if you're interested in it, first, not a Signals group. I do, talk about what I'm thinking in the market, but it's more just a community and also a way of like feedback for the channel. People saying thank you with their money. Pretty much like instead of like donating on Livestream, it's a way to also get something as well. Um, but I would wait until it's up to you. Like I said, because of the way the Patreon works, if you join now, you're going to end up paying $50 today, right? And then on the first, it's going to charge you $50 again, right? Just because it charges on the first. So I've had people that join like during the middle of the month, and then they'll leave before the first, and they just kept doing that over and over again. So that's why I changed it. So if you want to get the most out of your money, just wait until the second of next month. Mr. Kite, can you show us again how you choose your leverage? So, like I said, the leverage doesn't matter. It's, being honest with yourself about what you want to risk. Okay. So, if you have 10 R&R trade and you want to make 10% of your account, you only need to be risking 1% of your portfolio. R&R is. Right. So, if just making sure you can see it properly. Okay. So in this setup, I'm risking 0.5% of my portfolio and I'm using 2x leverage. Okay. So let's say that I want to use 2% risk. Okay. So a really quick and easy way is do like quick math. All right. 10% of 20 is 2%. Okay. Now, the margin and the risk for margin is how you get your risk, like your actual true risk. Right? And then the stop loss is what increases your R&R. So as well as that, when you change your stop loss, that's what's changing your leverage. So if I use a smaller stop loss, I need to lose percentage faster because I don't have as much time that the candle has to go, if that makes sense, or movement the candle has to go. So if the candle has to go farther in order to stop me out, right, that means I have to lose less percentage points for every tick in the wrong direction or the losing direction. But if I'm getting stopped out extremely fast, I have to be able to lose all 10% of my risk from margin within that 1%. That's why the leverage changes. Okay. So you can set this up a plethora of different ways. Like the reason why I use a little bit higher leverage is so that I could space out my trades. Because if you're using 100% of your portfolio for one trade, you don't have the ability to hedge. So if you're hedging, like if that's your strategy, and you're playing only one coin, you want to use a maximum of 45% margin. That way, you have enough for the hedge trade. Okay? So that's why I use leverage at all, as well as the ability to short, right? Because people go, well, like if you're using leverage and you're not super over leveraged, why don't you just spot trade? You can't hedge, right, with spot trading in terms of being able to short while longing. You can only sell and buy. So that's why I do that. So you can set this up another way. You can go, I'm using 2% of my portfolio as margin, and I'm willing to lose 100% of my margin. Right? So now I'm using 100x leverage. Typically, that's, people would never do that. They go 100x leverage, you're gambling. But if you understand the math, you're basically just using a liquidation as stop loss, which isn't really a good idea just because it doesn't give you much room in terms of like, sometimes it can change based on what the funding rate is. But I think 4%, 50% is probably the lowest that you should go if you want to use 2% risk. And obviously, like your stop loss plays a big deal as well. Don't use too small of a stop loss. Don't use too big of a stop loss. There's no purpose to either. One's just too risky. One's just too not risky to the point where you're not making anything. So with that, I'm using 25x leverage, but the risk is the same as if I was using 20% margin, 10% risk. Nothing changes. The leverage changed, but it's just to keep the math the same. All right, it's a variable with the constants that we set for risk. So hopefully that explained it a little bit better. Like I said, if you want to get a little bit deeper into this, go on my channel, look up the video, how to leverage trade correctly, R&R calculator or R&R math tutorial. You'll find it pretty easily. At Kite Crypto, will you date a crypto trader? They trade crypto and everything else works. Sure. But if that is the only criteria, I don't really care. You used the magnet for 39,236 BTC entry point? I used the magnet? What do you mean by that? Are you talking about this little button right here? Now, if you hold shift while moving these points around, it will lock on to the candle. Obviously, if I'm not zoomed in enough, it doesn't do a good job of it, but you can just kind of hold it until it locks onto the top of that wick and then let go of the mouse cursor. And from that point, you can see. Is Ryan back up? I hope so. I watched a little bit of his stream today, but I don't think his channel's back up. No, it's not back up yet. But I was watching a stream and he said that YouTube said that his account might have gotten hacked, which that's really good news in terms of like his chances. If they can recover his account, his chances of getting his account back just improved dramatically, which I'm very, very happy for him if that is the case. But the bad thing is if someone hacked it and like actually like deleted his account, I don't know if you, because like when you delete videos, there's like a whole thing that pops up on YouTube. It's like, this is going to be deleted. There is no way to get this video back. And it might be the same thing for the accounts. I'm not sure. And if he does get his account back, who knows? Maybe all of his videos are gone, which is going to be terrible if that happens. So we are finding out more every single day. I still got hope for him because, like I said, if that's the case, I think that's pretty good. And I think we know who did it. Like I'm not going to say any names, but who has he recently pissed off enough to hack an account, right? And someone can hack your account, and then they can upload, pornography to YouTube, and then that instantly gets it taken down. They could have done that. Whole plethora of things. Just a shit situation overall. I hope it gets figured out as soon as possible. That sucks, man. Sucks no matter who it is. Like I said, I don't agree with like everything that Ryan does or how he talks about certain things, but I do think he's a good person. Like I said, I mean, he reached out to me. So. The leverage / position calculator needs to have the maker and trader fee. Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to say that, Mike, that calculator is not as good as the one that CryptoFace and them have. Yeah, but to me, I've been using market fees for forever, and it hasn't really made a huge difference. Not at all. The only thing that would really make a difference is going to be uh, the funding rate, which is dynamic. It changes all the time, so it doesn't really matter. And you know that there's a fee. So like if you want to risk 2% of your portfolio, put 1.9% as your risk if you're really concerned about the fee. But it doesn't need to have it. More shit to confuse people with. So that was the only thing that I applauded the market cipher team for, was adding, you know. And the thing is, like, they really just added more shit to it to make it look different. That way, it's not as easily as identifiable. That's pretty much it. Well, I complimented them. I said that's what they do best. It's like the Apple of crypto. You take other bits and pieces and you simplify it, morph it down, and sell it back to people. Which I know, like, the origin of Apple is not quite that. The Apple has a long history. I'm just saying what it has been recently. I know a lot of people get pissed off when you talk about stuff like that. I'm not saying that Steve Jobs is a scam artist, anything but. I think he was a great man. But I'm just talking about, like, what the company has turned into when he was on his way out. So I tried to convince my wife it was no big deal that if I hooked up with her nurse, as long as I was high when I did it, citing your stream as a reference where I heard it was okay. So far, it's a no. When did I say that? What? When did I say this? $10 for each trades? Man. What if someone starts with $100? What do you mean? So if you're willing to lose $10 and your account's worth 100, that means you're willing to lose 10%. So you're talking about the margin? So yeah, like if you use, 10% of your portfolio as margin, that would be $10. And then you're willing to lose 10% of that 10%, that would be $1. You're willing to lose $1 whenever you get stopped out. If you trade 15 minutes, if you trade 15-minute or longer time frame, it's pretty negligible. You talking about what? Are you talking about the market fees? Yeah, because you're not entering 1,000 trades a day, so it's not really going to eat you alive. Obviously, if you're playing it decently, you're going to be making profit anyway, so makes up for it. Obviously, if you want to optimize it to a T, like I said, if you want to lose only 2%, 2% exactly, you can do some minor calculations, but it's not going to hurt you long term. Is it really possible to make money profitable, or is it just a fix? It's a confusing as so many different opinions on it. I've done okay. So when you hear a lot of channels, so like take CoffeeZilla for example. I watched this video on basically like the trading industry, and I agree with pretty much all of it. So I think it's a predatory practice. That's why, like, I have always tried to go out of my way to make sure that if I am doing anything remotely that looks close to what some people are doing that I find to be predatory, like I said, with the example with the courses, I think courses are predatory. So when I had something that is like a course, instead of filming videos and pumping it out there and charging people for it, making a one size fits all, I put my own blood, sweat, and tears into it. I physically called you on Zoom, all right? And also you got a whole plethora of other things. Um, One thing that uh, I didn't like about CoffeeZilla's video on trading. Now I don't know if it's just because it's easy to look past, but say for example, he talked about hedges, like hedge funds, and he goes, "Well, if you just put your money into the stock market, you would have gotten 10%, but if you would have put your money into a hedge fund, you would have gotten 8% return." And he goes, he basically used that as proof that trading is not as profitable as putting your money directly into the market, which, depending on how you do things, of course. Um, Crypto, a little bit of a different story because we have freedom in this. If you play your cards correctly, you can walk away with more profit. All right. But in say like the S&P, all right, the main job of hedge funds is defined as hedging. That's why it's called a hedge fund. Right? They're trading, but they're not trading for profit. They're trading for security. So even though that they're making less money per year, if there is a catastrophic event, I guarantee you about 2 to 3 years from now, if we go back and we look at the statistics of what hedge funds made during the coronavirus versus what normal people made, it's going to be drastically different. Drastically different. Now, I'm talking about real results. All right. Because we can say if you put your money in here and you kept it till here, but that does not include all of the emotional things that happen in someone's brain over a long period of time. When they sell, when the market dumps, they buy when the market pumps. It's very unrealistic. And even though it's not trading in terms of like leverage trading like we do, people buy and sell very easily on Robinhood. They don't consider it trading just because they don't do it as often, but they will sell and buy every so often. But during catastrophic events, because they were hedging their bets, right? They might be taking a little bit of profit off the top to make sure that there's security. But when there is a catastrophic event, they end up making more than the regular people over a long period of time. And when you have a massive amount of money, the main goal is security, not making more money as fast as possible. That's where the main difference is. That's where, like I talk about, trading, if you play it correctly, can be very profitable just because of the crypto market and how it works. But in the ultimate goal of things, trading in the crypto market should be seen as a way to make sure that you can stay stable in terms of what your account is at as price is dropping. So, I mean, I like profit just as much as the next guy, and I would like to see my account 2x, 3x, 4x. All right. But if you look at the past couple of months, right, I started with $1,000. And the fact that we are at $3,000, 3,500, 4,000, depending on, how lucky the trades are at that exact moment, with a downwards moving market is proof in itself. All the trades are there, all of the live streams, everything, right? It's not 100xing a portfolio through trading, but it's small gradual gains despite the overarching odds of us losing money. And then when the time is right, based on the macro, you reinsert that money into either inverse perpetual or just spot trading. And then from there, you let it do its thing, right? It's about the smart plays. But this whole concept of, it is extremely easy to take an account from zero to hero, all right? You just need this bona fide course. That's idiotic, all right? I love to share when magical things happen because I like to prove that magical things can happen. But like the $100 to $100,000 account that I made, right? First off, I didn't monetize it and I didn't try to promote it to bring more people to the channel. I just did it, all right? Because I think that's worth more, right? Because if I'm already making $100,000 off of $100, I don't need viewership to make me more money, right? But it's very important that you identify when that happened. It was during the bull market, and all I had to do was take out breakout trades to the upside. And since that was the highest probability of happening, once we broke 20K, easy peasy. Use a little bit more risk than usual because the win ratio is extremely high. Play the odds, boom, compounding all the way up to the upside. That's when you can do crazy things, right? But other than that, it is gradual growth over a long period of time. Now, the better you are at it, the more not gradual that growth is. But as long as you're ever so slightly positive, or at least breaking even while price action's not so nice, you're doing the right thing. People just miss out on that. Like if you're able to trade and your account is just kind of like sitting at $1,000, but the overall market's bearish, you go, I suck at trading. I haven't turned my 1,000 into a 2,000. Yeah, but while everybody else just lost 50% of their portfolio, yours stayed the same. Do you not see that? Do you not get that? No. Hopefully that didn't sound like I was angry, but it's just to prove the point that there is misconceptions about the reality of trading. But if you do things properly and view it from the proper perspective, There's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for massive profit, but sometimes it's just kind of moving sideways through a market. All right. A lot of people probably got introduced to trading over the past year because of the bull market. All right. I've been trading for 3.5 years through a sideways downwards market. And then I got to experience a bull market. So my perspective on things is a lot more different. And it's documented. I traded every single day through that downwards and sideways market. Every single day. I think I took maybe a week off to go to Dragon Con in Georgia, sometime, somewhere around here. I think it was right before, actually, no, I think it's as we were dropping out of this right here. That's when I was at Dragon Con. But I started trading here. And I started, trading on YouTube, probably like right here. And then I traded every single day from that point on. So, trading in a market like this will make you a realistic trader. Trading in a market like this alters your perception of what is reality. But that's why it's important to experience both. Sorry, I can't hear you. Your dog's being cute and distracting. Tell me about it, dude. This motherfucker's he's snorting too. I don't know if you guys can hear the snorts, but that I'm trying to be serious and explain something. I just hear in the background. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's such a baby. It's such a baby. Look at it. Snort. Hacking the mainframe. I don't know what my dog's problem is. What are you? I'm an idiot sandwich. Well, it depends on your strategy, Jerome. You said if you trade on the 15-minute or longer, you have time to type in random limit orders. I don't know if you're in which way you're talking about that, but ABC is my version of ABCs. It's a reactant to setups that are created in real time, so I really can't use limit orders. Sometimes you can, but to me, it's not worth, like today. You tried to get a limit order. I'm sure some people missed out. I just take the small loss on profit. Does fish have a cuddling buddy? No, unfortunately not. We have cats that are cool with him, but they don't like cuddle with them. I'm his cuddle buddy when I'm not on stream. All right, guys. I don't know how long I've been streaming today, but it's been how long we've been streaming. I feel like I woke up. Oh, it's been 3 hours because we started at 1 p.m. pretty much exactly. Holy bonanzas, man! What happened to the video? Okay, I get it. Okay, market dumps, and everybody wants to go on YouTube and see what's going on. But no, appreciate your time today, guys. As always, trade smart, trade safe. Like I said, I think what I'm gonna try to do this week is my best attempt. All right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. EST. That's when I'll go live. Tuesdays and Thursdays, probably later in the day, probably sometime around like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And the Tuesdays and Thursday streams are More than likely just going to be kind of chillaxing streams. Obviously, if someone asks a question and I get into a heated monologue, I can't help it, just the way things work. But Tuesdays and Thursdays probably be more level-headed, chillaxed, less focused on crypto as a whole. But obviously, it's the channel. The channel's named Kite Crypto, so can't really help it. But I'm gonna go grab some food. Just chillax on a Monday. Be alive. Smell the rain. I think I'm gonna be an old person prematurely, and I think I might go to Home Depot sometime this week and get a cheap rocking chair for the front porch. So on days like this, where it's raining, I have a front porch where like I can still stay dry, so I can just kind of rock back and forth and smell the rain, have the benefits of moving water, the electrons, being able to be calmed down. Just normal stuff. Right. I'll check you guys later. Let's pick a song for the outro. Oh, I don't know who. It's always a debate in my head who I want to play. And man, I tell you what, if you guys go on Spotify and you look up Rasputin and then you hit the radio button for Rasputin, I kid you not, every single song is a hit, like a banger. Like, and not just like, oh, it's oldies, it's classic, it's a good song. Every single one is good. And it's even got newer music too. Go look it up. Hit Rasputin, click the radio button, enjoy your life from that point forward, because you have now hacked the matrix to be happy all the time. Dude, I don't know what I want to play. Maybe we'll just play more Chinese, man. I've been playing that last 2 days. We'll do To the Beat by Chinese Man. I'll add it to the songs I've played on Livestream, and we'll get going here. Let's do the thing. Play Rasputin? Nah, I feel like that's going to get taken. That's just going to block the live stream entirely. But no, if you just go listen to Rasputin. All right, it'll make your day. All right, my favorite is if you guys have Beat Saber for VR, and you download the mod that allows you to download like alternative music. Download Rasputin for Beat Saber, because it makes you do like the squat Russian dance. It's so much fun. Definitely one of my favorite games. All right, guys. Let me just. I can't even see you. I'm actually like super blind. I hope you know that. Not super blind. My sister is like a negative 4.75. I'm only a negative 2.5, but that's still pretty blind. So I can only imagine what my sister sees when she takes her contacts out. Bye.
porque me muero de pena. No me dejes, corazón, porque me muero de
content to the beat, y'all.